phone calls, and I want to thank you for your support of the Constitutional Rights Center since we launched the website about a month and a half ago, and other social media platforms. Prior to this, I had always stayed away from social media. I'm a sort of an older Luddite type. And what I quickly learned in the last month and a half is that mainstream media and social media are really no different. The social media has become a corporate slice of the mainstream media. And both the social media and the mainstream media have become, to Trudeau, Ford, and Tory on the COVID, what Pravda was to the Soviet Union in the Cold War. They are official mouthpieces, censors. They're graduates of the Joseph Goebbels School of Journalism, all of them. Yeah. Shameful. Shame.
Shame on you!
So what's been made clear to me is that we have to free ourselves from this Main Street shackle that we all are on, unfortunately, addicted. The good news that I've noticed at the same time is that this untenable situation has led to an explosion of alternative media, smaller venues, where they keep, like my website, everything is kept internal. I don't care when they take me down. I've got everything duplicated, hard drive that they can't take down. And what we need to do is have our alternative media stations turn into our own URL. And I've been in contact with people across North America to do just that, and hopefully we can all hook up and will not become victims of YouTube, and Facebook, and the rest of them, especially CBC. So like the fool that I am, I've decided to join this movement, and I've decided to join this alternative and healthy voice. So, they're going to have to move aside for me. So I've partnered up to establish an alternative media company and studio with a launch date in December of this year. And that's because I want to do my part to reflect my community, society, and the world in an honest, direct, non-deceitful way, with the intention of hooking up with other such independent media outlets already out there. I want to at this point to very briefly introduce my business partner in our company called Wholehearted Media. And I don't know if she's my partner, my business partner, is a former television journalist, video web director, and social media manager. More importantly, she... Come on up. Yeah. Okay. More importantly than her job titles, she's an extremely insightful, incisive, and intellectually and spiritually an independent individual. This is Rajwinder Kabli.
Yeah.
Her friends call her Raji. Her closer friends call her Raj. However, she's instructed to me that I address her as Ms. Kabli, or if I want for short, Boss. So, Boss, you want to say a few words or not?
Wow. Hello, everyone. This is an absolute honor and privilege, and quite frankly, a dream come true to be standing here in front of all of you and partnering with this guy. Oh my God. It's amazing. I just want to say that it feels so good to know that nothing can stop the awakening of humanity, and I'm so excited. So excited. Nothing can stop the awakening of humanity. Nothing. And I'm so excited to be bringing Wholehearted Media to you all. Stay tuned.
Okay, now for the rant. On March 17, 2020, Ford commences the emergency. Somebody on Twitter the same day tweeted the following, quote, COVID-19 frenzy, a waltz in the global totalitarian tiptoe to a new world order. Parliament closures, global shutdowns, soldiers out, banking and corporate bailouts. Facts, science do not add up. Death toll, elderly and immunocompromised victims, marginally no different than any other flu. That was March 17th. You know who tweeted that? Me. Okay? And this paragraph, this Twitter paragraph, just about fucking sums it up. Anyone who was awake at the time, and there were many of us who, in fairness, feared, but felt too alone and didn't want to buck the system in their community to express themselves. But anybody who was awake saw this coming because it had been expressed, opened, and it's been in the planning for decades. So I want to talk about human beings and humanity, because at the end of the day, constitutional lawyers in defending constitutional rights are defending the human attributes that make us human. It's no more complicated than that. So I want to first say to Mr. Trudeau, Mr. Ford, Mr. Tory, respectfully, none of us want to sing in your fascist muzzled rat race choir that you're conducting through... that you're conducting through a score of pornography of fear from globalist criminals. So I'd like to say to each of you respectfully, stop lying to your citizens you're supposed to serve. Stop lying about the bogus, fraudulent, quote, testing. Tell us what the PCR tests. And about the PCR test and what it actually tests. You know it does not test for any virus. Your case counts are criminal propaganda. Your discourse of numbers is criminally fraudulent. In the USA, they call that data fraud and actually have criminal provisions geared at state officials who engage in data fraud because it misleads the public. So stop lying about cases to scare us about deaths. Even on your fraudulent characterization of 9,800 plus COVID deaths, this amounts barely to 1/4% of the Canadian population. Don't talk to me about numbers in the abstract that don't mean a fucking thing. This is a death rate that is no different from the annual flu for the last 15 years. Where's the pandemic? And stop lying, calculated, globalized fear-mongering. We are not afraid. There are those who are afraid. And who are they? Largely the poor, the disabled, and the elderly. Because they're the victims of this vicious fraud. They're the ones who can't negotiate their life in the context of this insanity that you've unleashed on us. And shame on you for that. I have 4 or 5 questions for Mr. Trudeau. Why are you advertising for crowd control officers for 25? Why are you procuring massive stock supplies of riot tear gas? Why are you procuring internment facilities? Why are you advertising for drone neighborhood surveillance monitoring officers for 2030? This is all publicly available information. What's your agenda, Mr. Trudeau? And Mr. Tory here in the city of Toronto, why do you miserably fail at providing affordable housing, but you're happy and gleeful to take $14 million to build an isolation center, another type of internment facility? Build some affordable housing, why don't you? And I want to address Mr. Ford, our Premier, as well. So why will you not answer any of Randy Hillier's questions? Especially about the internment camps planned for Ontario. Why do you refer to law-abiding citizens exercising their constitutional right as yahoos? And that if they do not like masks or mandatory measures, they can, quote, leave the country. Where do you get that fucking audacity? In my career, I've heard that line directed at me many times when I take unpopular cases. And it's always from the same source, not always from the same person, but always from the same well. And that well is the well of redneck white supremacists. Your ancestors may have helped in stealing this land from the Indigenous people of Canada, but you don't own the fucking country. Any premier who says that should be ashamed of himself. And I'd like to say, Mr. Ford, you may have a challenged time understanding what I'm about to say, but thought, conscience, belief, expression, association, assembly, life, liberty, security of the person, freedom from unlawful search and seizure and arbitrary detention, and equality are not rights you and your kind, tyrannical and incompetent politicians gave to me or anyone else. They are human attributes bestowed upon us by the Creator, even if you believe the Creator goes no cosmically farther than your mother.
Well said.
Even there, it is she who gave us all the gift of life and the human attributes that come with it. We all possess as members of humanity. These rights that you have in the Constitution are codified human attributes. That's all they are. They're not rights bestowed upon you by the state. The state can only curtail, suppress, eliminate, or try to kill your human attributes. Don't get hoodwinked that the Charter was there to give you these rights. No, the Charter was there to protect you against these depraved, tyrannical mothers. So I'm here to tell you, of course, on behalf of my clients, who asked me to be here today, because otherwise I wouldn't waste my breath on you, because I know you don't listen, and if you do, you rarely understand, Premier Ford. And you don't care, I know that. But I'm here to tell you on behalf of my clients, as the constitutional lawyer representing them, who have filed in court against you, Mr. Trudeau, Tory, along with your fraudulent and incompetent medical health officers who vacillate with their advice, which you refuse to disclose, by the way, and who vacillate with their advice from week to week like a palm tree swaying in a Pacific hurricane. I mean, if we believe everything they say, they should be fired for incompetence tomorrow. And what I want to say is that you cannot have, under any circumstances, my constitutional rights. They belong to me. And they belong to everybody here and everybody not here. They're not yours to possess. So, well, I have to stop short because then I can, I'm governed by the Law Society. So, they were entrenched to protect me against tyrannical politicians like you. So I say on behalf of myself, and if I have the permission of the good people here, I say that we are all exempt. This is the first time I've come out, so I hope you don't mind if I rob a bit more time that was allotted to me. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, baby.
So I'd like to say to Mr. Ford, you've tried to isolate me, distance me from my fellow humans, silence me with your slave trade masks, close down and lock down points of human contact, refrain me from kissing and hugging my children, allow the abuse of children who are strapped in school all day, including in the schoolyard, to wearing these stupid masks that have been documented to cause health risks.
Where's my speakers?
Now Teresa Tam tells me I have to wear a mask when I have sex. And even further than that, she personally recommended masturbation for all of us till 2022. Well, dear Dr. Tab, choose what you do in your personal life until 2022. It's your right. But do not tell me how to breathe, who to talk to, who to hug, who to kiss, or who to make love with my consensual partner, or how. We will not be stripped of our humanity. So,